Hello everybody and welcome. On this occasion we're going to talk about enduring leadership. Now Jack Ma, the co-founder of Alibaba, said, "A leader should demonstrate higher endurance and the ability to accept and embrace failure." Now, I don't want to talk about failure as such. In a previous video, we talked about failure and the fact that failure is an important part in the journey of leadership. However, what is important is to understand that endurance or enduring leadership is a fundamental part of being a successful leader, and one which we very often forget or don't embrace. We talk about all the other aspects of leadership, but endurance is not one that comes very much to the forefront. There's a proverb that says, "To endure what is unendurable is true endurance." To endure what is unendurable is true endurance. And I think it's so valuable to not only hear that, but then to integrate it in the way in which we lead. Because when you think about endurance, what's the first thing that comes to your mind? Well, the first thing is, and I'm sure you'll know this, pain. We'll come back to that. Welcome to this video. If this is your first time, my name is Igwe. I have over 35 years experience in growing, leading and creating teams across 5 international markets. I've also worked across Europe, Middle East and Africa, helping indeed these individuals and teams to become something they never imagined possible. It would be fantastic if you comment, liked, shared, and of course subscribe to this channel so you follow the other videos that we're sharing. So let's come back to the subject, enduring leadership. Now, whilst he wasn't a leader in the sense that maybe you and I are thinking about now, Thomas Edison, who I referred to in a previous video, who was responsible for basically stabilizing the incandescent light bulb, he was born in the mid-1800s, and he also had about 1,000 patents to his name, created a lot of the technology, the fundamental start of many of these that we know today. And when he was asked, because he failed on a lot of things that he did, but as he said, it wasn't about failure. He said, "I didn't fail. I just discovered 10,000 ways that something didn't work." So if you change that mindset and say to yourself, well, it's not about failure. It's about going through a very difficult process until you get to the other side, which is the achievement. So coming back to endurance, I want to just pause here for a minute, because endurance, when you think about it, we often think of pain. When you endure something, it's painful. Now that pain can be primarily emotional, because your mental state, you haven't achieved what you wanted to do, the results haven't come the way you wanted. It's emotional, that's why I put E here. But let's not forget that emotion can become physical. So it can actually affect you physically as a continuation of this process. So whilst you have to embrace the idea of endurance, if it's an emotional one in your head, it can then transform into a physical one, which clearly is a danger. So we don't want that to happen. So you may say to me, okay, but what are some examples of endurance? We've all been through them, whether it's in business, in general, in life, or as a leader. Let me give you 3 very quick examples and you'll understand straight away. So let's say you are starting out your business, or your business is growing and you want to put together or have put together an amazing business plan, and you take it to the bank because you want to get financing for that. You've been at that bank for 10, 15 years, so they know you really well. You go in, they say that they love the business plan, it's fantastic, but they don't give you the money. They don't loan you the money. That can be physically and emotionally battering, because you think, well, I've been at this bank for a long time. They know me, they trust me, they should know my capabilities, and yet they say no. You have to work through the pain of that. Another example, you want to hire new members of staff into your department, your team, or your company. And let's say you find some amazing individuals who you want to hire. The board loves it, they think it's a great idea, and yet they say no at the end. It's catastrophic for you. You feel the pain because you know that that would have helped you to grow the business. The flip side is the business is not going so well and you have to make redundancies and terminate people. That's a painful process as well. So 3 very different examples, but which you can identify with. Those are all painful experiences, which at the beginning are emotional, mental, and they can become physical if you allow them to work through. Winston Churchill once said, "If you're going through hell, keep going." That may sound rather stark and brutal, but that's what you need to do. Endurance is about getting through. Endurance is about running a marathon. It's not a sprint. Leadership is not a sprint. It's a long-term process. So those of you who have been promoted into certain positions or hired into a role, remember, you've got to make it work over the long term. It's not a short-term thing. Because if you make it short-term, the emotion of not succeeding or finding different stumbling points along your journey is going to have even more devastating impact on you. So yes, leadership is about endurance. And endurance, like a marathon, is about a long-term race. So a couple of aspects I want to just walk us through is endurance is also, as in any leadership, it's about uncertainty. So when you are going through something, you're not certain how the outcome is going to be. The examples I gave you of going to the bank and asking for a loan, or looking to hire new people, or indeed terminating people, there's a lot of uncertainty attached to it. But you have to work through that, because uncertainty then requires you to say, okay, for this to work, I have to be persistent. For me, persistence is almost like the twin brother or sister of endurance. So on the one hand, endurance could take you down to the lowest levels, but persistence is then to balance, is to bring you up, is to say, I know I can work through this, I can get through this. Endure something, but continue to persist. And through that persistence, you come out at the other side. You see, when you succeed in terms of endurance, this then happens. On the one hand, the optimistic side of getting through those moments of endurance is that you recognize that you are there for the long haul. But not only for the long haul, what happens is the team, your department, your company, they say, this leader has ability to stay. He or she has the ability to work through that challenge. They have the ability to absorb pressure, because as a leader, you have to absorb pressure. You're like a shock absorber all the time. You take it, you control it, you manage it. And then what that does is, as the team sees that you're in for the long haul, they see that you can stand the pressure. That absolutely motivates them. It motivates them to the point where they say, wow, on the one hand, this is a boss that cares. Someone who really cares for me. He or she is going through the pain barrier to make sure that they move us forward to whatever the next step is. It motivates them also to appreciate and respect you more for what you do. And even for those who maybe start to understand it, they can see what you put up with on a regular basis. I remember a company that I worked for, and I've had many of these, I'm sure you have as well, is that when I eventually left that company, the team, the staff that remained there, who were then no longer having me as the shock absorber between me and the board or the manager, director above. And one of them once said, it's like being close to the sun after that. We got ourselves burnt a lot of the time. Why? Because as a leader, you are there to absorb, take the pressure, analyze it, utilize it, and come out the other side stronger. You protect the team, you protect the business by enduring. So endurance is so powerful and so important that you really need to A, embrace it, and B, work through it in order to get to the other side successfully. I hope that this video has spoken to you. If it has, please comment, like. I'd love to hear your feedback, and of course follow us on this particular channel, and I look forward to speaking to you again soon. Thank you.